And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to season 3 of Coffee with Colin. My name is Colin Egglesfield, coming at you from my living room. So feel free to grab a cup of Joe or a glass of wine, some vodka, some gin, whatever it is. Over the next 45 minutes to an hour, we're going to have some amazing, stimulating, and fun conversation with a beautiful actress who is also a fellow Chicagoan. So I can't wait to bring her out here in a few minutes. But just wanted to let you know beforehand that I've missed you guys. I hope you guys have been doing well. A lot of this has been going on over the past few weeks, and hope you guys are staying inspired and staying motivated with whatever it is that you are up to in life. And, I can't believe that we're already 3 months into 2021. Hopefully you guys are just doing what you guys need to do in order to keep on being, staying in line with whatever it is that you want to create. Our community is continuing to grow, and it is great to see that everyone who's been a part of all of this is contributing. And whether it's my Inspire course or we're doing our Inspire Summit coming up May 23rd. So I'm excited to have you guys all be a part of that as well. And just all the different communities. It's great to see how over the past few weeks and few months that through whatever it is that we're dealing with, by coming together and the power of community, we are able to support each other and lift each other up to get through whatever it is that we've been dealing with. I personally have been dealing with, quite a bit over the past few weeks, and it is just amazing to be able to jump on to our Zoom calls and Q&As and all that stuff, and just to hear so many great, amazing, and inspiring stories from so many people in our community. And this next hour, we're going to be talking a little bit more about that. I've got some great questions from you guys beforehand. Did a little Facebook Live before I came on here tonight. So I've got your questions all lined up and ready to go. And for those of you who are soap opera fans, my next guest needs no introduction. She is the beautiful one and only daughter of the infamous and incredible William and Lee Bell, who created Young and the Restless and Bold and the Beautiful. And she's also she's an actress, and she's also now starting to produce her own stuff. She's got 2 Lifetime movies coming up in the next 2 weeks, which is unprecedented. Names of these movies, you guys are not going to want to miss these, are Ruby and Pearl in the Mist. So without further ado, would love to introduce the one and only Lauralee Bell. Lauralee, welcome to Coffee with Colin.
This is so great. That was such an amazing, not only introduction, but the inspiring part. I love.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate you being here, and I can't wait to hear some of your stories and your inspiration and some motivation for us, because you've been an actress for quite a bit, and it's a true testament to who you are to be able to do something that is so difficult that I don't think a lot of people truly understand what it takes to actually be a professional actress and stay motivated, because there's very little structure with what we do. And right. There's a lot of self-motivation that is required for you to be able to just to stay committed to your dream and to actually make it manifest. So we'd love to just start out by asking, was acting something that you always wanted to do? And obviously you grew up with parents who were in the industry. How did this all come about for you?
That's always an interesting topic. And people, of course, say you never would have gotten the job if your parents hadn't been in it. I am the first one to admit that. So I totally get it. This was never their intention. Like, my dad we were living in Chicago, and my dad would make a trip out to California every few months to check on Young and Restless. And, one day, I'm sure, he regrets it, but he said, if I'm going to go out there, you should, be an extra in the scene and just see what this life is like. And so I did that. And I was in the scene with David Hasselhoff sitting on an airplane. It was pretty great. And so, that was fine. I was a little too young. A few years later, he thought it would be a great idea to maybe do a couple of days with a truly young person playing a young person, because back then, like, 25-year-olds were playing 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
So it was truly going to be 2 days. 2 days, that's it. I had to say the word model. I could barely say the word. I was like, model. In my
How old were you?
I was 16.
Okay.
Maybe my first day I was a little bit younger, but anyway, it was mediocre at best.
So this was Young and the Restless?
It was Young and Restless again, just
Okay.
2 days. And after it was over, I said, that was really great. Like if I started taking acting lessons and singing lessons and dancing lessons, do you think I could do another 2 days? And he was like, I don't know. So we came back to Chicago. I started taking tap. I was taking private acting lessons, doing some crazy things, watching a candle burn, and I was supposed to have tears by the time the burn went to the body, so to me it was like, but I just went out there and, had some fun. I didn't have to call upon this yet. So anyway, two more days happened, a few months later, and lo and behold, some people started writing in and saying, it's really nice for our kids who watch it with us. We watch this as a family. Our grandma started us on the show. Now I watch it, and my kids were in the room, and they have someone that they can identify with. So then it was like, maybe next summer could be a little longer. So it was a little longer, and they brought on another Trisha Cass, who played Nina, and Tom Beers, who played Philip, and it became a little bit more of a storyline. And now, here we are, like 30 some years later.
And this whole time, your mom and your brother and sister, you were all living in Chicago.
So you have 2 brothers, and even my dad. I mean, he was typing. He was in a bathrobe every day, typing at a typewriter. I was going to the Latin School of Chicago. My now husband was growing up in Oak Park and then came to Latin. I mean, when I speak of my childhood, it is definitely Chicago. And so he would FedEx his scripts every day. We had a Xerox machine that was going in our house all day. And my mom had a local talk show called The Lee Phillips Show in Chicago.
Yeah.
So when we would go out, everyone would stop us and say, "Oh, Lee Phillip." And, my dad would never get any, not that my parents never were asking for recognition, but I'm just saying, like, my dad would just type and send scripts, and a show would appear. So once he started Bold and Beautiful, we really had to make the move. But it was, I'm so glad I was raised in Chicago.
Yeah.
And my husband and I talk about it every day. Like, we miss the city so much, and we miss our friends, and but we stay in contact with everybody. So.
Well, I'm just curious. So your parents were living in Chicago. So your father had to have had some sort of connection with Hollywood for him to have been able to sell and create a show, Young and the Restless.
Yeah.
So was he an actor before he started the show? And
in advertising, and through advertising, he got a writing job with a woman named Erna Phillips, who was doing Another World. So he wrote Another World, and then he joined As the World Turns and Days of Our Lives. And when he joined Days of Our Lives, it was lower in the ratings, and he brought it higher. So as soon as that occurred, they were definitely interested in talking to him about starting his own show.
So all the while he was living in Chicago
Full time.
That's incredible.
It's incredible. I mean, they would send the big VHS tapes and it would be talent tests, and then he'd have to watch, they'd arrive, he'd watch them. And then he'd either call or, no monitor. Like right now with Zoom, I'm talking to friends who can be at home, and they can link into their studios or wherever they're filming, get dailies and stuff.
So would he put in the VH tapes of all the actors and call you guys all into the living room? All right, everyone, we're doing our next casting for our next character. Come in here, give me some feedback.
I was so into it. I would pretend to be sick from school. I planted thermometers at 100 points, like all over the house. So wherever they took my temperature, I'd say, like, "Would you give me a blanket?" And I would switch my thermometers. My poor parents. And I did that all so I could stay home and watch Young and Restless with my dad, and then watch him make a phone call to LA to say what he liked and didn't like about each episode. And those phone calls to me were like, I would just be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you didn't like that. I thought that was so good." Or, "He's right." He's like, he'd say, like, "It was good, but I wanted her to zing it to him, and this should have been much more higher level." And he was so animated in those phone calls. And I'd think, "Oh my, who's the poor soul on the other end?" but I was so fascinated by those calls that my absence suddenly at school was like, a couple weeks, and then then 3 weeks, and then they started wondering, so I had to go see a therapist to see like what if I don't appear to be sick, what's going on. And finally I just had to say, look, I love Latin school and it's nothing against that, but I much prefer the phone calls at noon, to hear this, because it would fascinate me. So yes, like you wouldn't ask my opinion, but I would definitely, if they were doing talent tests, I would be like hiding in the back of the room to just see which one he would pick.
So is that when you decided that you wanted to be an actress? So from a very early age, watching your father create something and then have it go from the page to the screen and you were watching these characters, were you then like, that's what I want to do, Dad?
Yeah, I don't remember saying that until I had those first couple of days. But once I had those first couple of days, and I was willing to do whatever. Like I was like, whatever you need, like I will take lessons. I will not go out. The homework, you have to be obviously so serious, because all my girlfriends were around 17, 18, all going out to dinner and hanging out, and I would have to come home and learn 30 pages of dialogue for the next morning. So it's, it was suddenly a very, I loved it, and that's what I wanted to do. But I think everyone, just forgets about the homework aspect of it. And I then became a lawyer, and the amount of, I'm just a goofy, silly person. So the thought of, multiple cross-examinations the next morning in an opening and closing statement was like, oh my God, like I'm like, I will pull this off. But I would have to now that my husband's around, like we've been together 20 some years, I'd have to be like, what is this? What is this word?
Yeah.
And then the next day I'd be like, and another thing, here's this word, like exactly what I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, I was very grateful to the YNR fans, because I definitely learned a lot on camera. But everyone was very helpful to get me there.
Yeah. And were your parents ever a little apprehensive about having you go out to LA and get into acting?
My mom wanted me to be a tri-delt at Northwestern. And so I think, and she kept saying, it's never too late. You could be 20, 30, you could still go back to college. And I said, yeah, don't worry. I'm sure I will. And I tried to take some UCLA extension courses, but it came down to, I was missing too much because of work. So they said, you get to pick. And I said, I'm very sorry, but I just,
yeah. So I was watching a few of your clips from Young and the Restless, and saw a scene where you were interrogating Justin Hartley from This Is Us.
Yes.
And the handsome and dashing Justin Hartley. So how long did you work with him for?
I would say about a year.
Okay.
He was on the show longer, but our characters didn't, you'd have to get into trouble to work with me.
Yes, of course.
Dig into the courtroom. My husband was a police officer and I was the DA. So it was like, you don't want to mess with us.
Yeah. And so I know, I saw you doing the interrogation or cross-examination. So I've talked about being on All My Children. I was on there for 3 years. And what I talk about is just the amount of material that we would have to learn compared to like a primetime TV show, where with a primetime TV show, which is an hour-long show, but it's really about 40 minutes of actual screen time. And of that 40 minutes, it takes about 7 business days, Monday through Friday, to shoot a 40-minute episode. Whereas with soap opera, we're shooting 40 minutes in one day. And so we're just constantly having to churn out dialogue and material. How did you deal with learning that much dialogue, and how would you describe it compared to acting that you've done for like your Lifetime movies?
Right. Well, first of all, I think, I do think it's like a muscle. I'm very fortunate that I can look at it and know it fairly well, except for the legal stuff. If I'm talking about like, hi, honey, how are you? How was your day? Stuff like that. I can look at it hopefully once or twice. But if it's legal stuff, I take days to prepare, because to me, it's so important. Also with the rhythm of cross-examining. Because it's like information sometimes the audience already knows. So you have to try and make it interesting and have a pace to it. But yeah, what I did a bunch of years ago, I played Chuck Norris's niece on Walker, Texas Ranger, and it was it was a season finale, and they kept saying to me, tomorrow's going to be a really big day. It's 5 pages.
Yeah, 5 pages. Like 5 pages. We do that in an hour.
I was like, okay, I'll really prepare tonight. I'll be ready. But I was afraid because I took time off when I had my children because I didn't want to miss a moment. And so when I came back, I was like, I think I may have lost that muscle.
Yeah.
I can do it. And now with auditions, or the other day when I was on YNR, I had 4 lines, and I would be better with 40 lines than 40. It's like there's something about it that when I have auditions or something, I'm now so. I mean, it depends on who and what it is, but I'm more. I don't know what happened. Like I just call it like middle-age anxiety. Like I've never had this before, and so I didn't want to go on the free. Like I was having really weird things. Like I said to my son, I can't drive on the freeway. I don't know. I was doing another Lifetime movie, and I had to drive every night to Santa Clarita, which is about an hour away.
Mm-hmm.
And we would wrap late. And when I would be driving, it's all headlights. And then there's one point where like 3 freeways come in to merge. And I would see that in my rearview mirror. And one day I was like, I don't think I can, like, I had such a freak out. So I was like, I don't think I can ever do this again. And so I had to Uber for the rest of the film. But a couple of weeks ago, my son said, can we please take the freeway to, like, I'll switch places with you. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it. And I did it, and I was fine. But I was happy he pushed me because it's so silly. I have to say to myself, I've done this for 30 years. Why am I terrified to walk into this room and say 8 lines? Like, it's so, but it happens. And, I think it's good, I guess, for your heart rate to keep your blood pumping. But
well, definitely keeps you on your toes. And that's the crazy thing about our brains, no matter how much we think we have things figured out, things always change, and life is constantly changing, and we're adapting, and we grow. And that's the thing with life with regards to how do you adapt to change. And I think sometimes we naively think that things are always going to stay the same. And so we get comfortable with our surroundings and the people that are in our life. And I think sometimes we can get a little complacent.
Right.
And so I think it's always important to just keep stretching outside of your comfort zone. And that is what I do love about acting, because it is constantly outside your comfort zone. And just making sure that you're surrounding yourself with the people that you can trust, that support you with whatever it is that you're doing. And I think for me, I took a break from Los Angeles to come back here to Chicago, just because after 20 years of hitting the auditions and, so hard, like you were saying before, it really does require a lot. And we sacrifice a lot with regards to seeing our friends go on vacations and do the things that normal people would be doing. And in my mind, it was like, well, if I leave LA, I might miss the opportunity for the audition that could change my life forever. So, I focused so much on doing that for 20 years, where I just was like, you know what? I just need to push the reset button, come back to Chicago, just kind of get a dose of my friends, my family. My mom actually lives in Oak Park, where you grew up. And my brother's out here, like an hour away. And it's so nice to be able to be around family and my nieces and my nephews. And it's really recharged my batteries. And so now I'm ready to get back out to Hollywood. And I think it really took me this time to away from it for me to really appreciate what it really was and what I missed. And I think sometimes that's also helpful too. So you've been in LA for quite a bit, but you said you come back to Chicago occasionally.
Yeah, we try and get back. So it's my husband that grew up in Oak Park, and so I grew up downtown. But we want to show our kids, like, showing it wasn't there when we were there, but like the Bean, and I grew up with this, Lincoln Park Zoo, and my husband is such a food, like, we're both so like our childhood is about for me, Irving's and Al's Beef and
East.
So yeah, I mean, that's what when it's a Saturday night or a Sunday night, we're like, what should we have for dinner? You know, everyone's like, oh, I could really go for like a slice of Giordano's. Or, you know, it's just, but yeah, and like going back to just what you're comfortable in, and not like this Lifetime movie that I'm doing this weekend. I play so, like, my whole thing always with working is to try and be as natural as possible. And with this, I had to, it's like a Cruella de Vil part. So I have to be so big that it's, you know, that was like, I had to say like, I'm way out of my comfort zone. So please, like, if this comes off, so like, you have to tell me. I'm great with, like, I'm fine with notes. Like, you can say like that, this was this, no. So yeah. But anyway, yeah, I am itching to get back to Chicago so bad. That will be our summer plan if we can. My in-laws have a place in Indiana. So
okay.
Now that our kids have seen the ATV and sprawling yard life, my daughter will want to come in because, like, she went to Lollapalooza with my husband the last time it was going. So she's very into like the city part. But my son, if like we were to land and go straight out to Indiana, he'd be fine with that too. So
yeah,
it's fun. It's fun I want to take them to Lake Geneva. I want to take them, you know, all over. We went past by our high school. It's such a great city.
Yeah, and you were telling me before the show started that so Genoa City, I'm looking the Restless. Yeah. So basically, you were saying Lake Geneva, which is where we would go out for our summer vacations. My mom, my dad, my brother, and my sister. You said on the way to Lake Geneva, there's a town in Illinois called Genoa.
Yeah, I think I like between the salami and, I mean, on the show we call it Genoa, but I think they call it Genoa. But my parents would pick us up. It was like clockwork. Our family was like clockwork. 2:30 on the dot, pick us up from school. We would be at this restaurant called Andre's near Genoa City at 4. It would open at 4:30, and there we were sitting in the car, like, and so we'd go in. We'd have the same thing every time we would go, and then be in Lake Geneva by, I don't know, 6:30 or 7. Back then it was like CPO Sharky and Heart to Heart. Like, we would just all do the same things. And then on the Sunday coming back in, if we went for a weekend, we would stop at the Cheese Box or Bittner's Bakery, or both, and get a hunk of cheese and a salami. And every Sunday night we would have Campbell's tomato soup with our Cheese Box salami and our cheese every single time. And we loved it. And my godmother was so sweet. This year for Christmas, she sent me a care package from the Cheese Box.
Very sweet. So does Young and the Restless then, is it based on that city in northern Illinois?
You're not going to find, we have like we had unfortunately the extravagant Mrs. Chancellor and, and Victor Newman with Newman Enterprises. I don't think that they are there. However, we are so grateful for that town, and we've had some fun. We all did, like 5 of us did an appearance there a few years ago. Probably, when I say a few, at this point, it's probably been like 25 years. But it was super fun to be under the banner of the home of the Young and the Restless. And it's exciting that there's a real place. But not the same. Yeah.
Very, very cool. So I've got some questions from our audience. Do you mind if I start diving into some of them?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so this one is from Marisa Costa, and she's from Portugal. She wants to know, what has been your best acting experience?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I can't not say Young and Restless, just because it's really been it's scary, but a pleasure to have gone from a teenager to my age now. Because I think, the success of Young and Restless, with so many of the actors have been there for this long, and the fans are so kind enough to bring us in on a daily basis, that, to be the same person consistently then can become more like a family member. It's always hard when we have to recast people and suddenly we're supposed to say, oh, now this is the new Sharon, or this is with Justin Hartley, this is the new Adam. And, everyone is so great about taking the time, and it just takes time to adapt. But I've had some great side experiences, but just in terms of the longevity and how my character has grown and how I've grown I have to say I'm in Restless. It would be wrong if I did.
And speaking of longevity,
Lightning would come down.
knock on wood. And speaking of longevity, Roxanne Swires asks, what is it like to work with Eric Braeden?
Gosh, like he and I'm grateful to kind of be a little older now, because like he'll text me opinions. Also, I suppose because my parents aren't here anymore, he'll ask me things, and like there's nothing better than to be on like a text back and forth with Eric Braeden. He is such a leader and such a kind man, and it's so funny because like I'm very much a jokester, which most people do not. Like they see me as the serious DA on the show, and he too.
Mm.
He is Victor Newman, and you don't mess with right. Okay, so but he too is just such a funny guy. So it's hard when you get to see someone so like charismatic and so, well, that comes off on camera, so everyone knows that. But I mean, he's better than anyone would expect. How about that?
Yeah, he's awesome. I got to actually participate in the Celebrity Grand Prix race with him. Did you do that? The Long Beach?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Crap out of me. I didn't even know how to drive stick.
Oh yeah, no, but then we went to the racing school and they teach you how to. Yeah, so Eric and I were in the same group, so that's when I got to meet him. So for like 3 weeks, I got to know him pretty well, and he's like a Sean Connery debonair, just like just exudes like just that suave English debonair gentleman.
Such a great guy, and
yeah.
Glad you had that experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, meeting Eric, but boy, that car racing thing was.
How did you do?
The only reason I didn't lose is because, and I'm not laughing about this, but Donny Osmond had a bad crash. They were waving that there was an accident, and then I come around and his car is upside down, and I know that his wife and his kids are in the stands. So I'm already a wreck, and I'm like, oh my God. So they slow us up, and I thought, oh my God, this is not good. And then what do? They slow us up to kind of get us all together again, and then they wave the checker, or they wave whatever flag it was to go again.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I can't. Like, I don't know how Donnie is. I can't.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean,
it sounds like he was okay, right?
It was okay, and
yeah.
I thank him because I wasn't at the bottom.
Well, I ended up crashing on the second to last lap because Vanessa Marcel was the last. She was going so slow that everyone had passed her, and I came around this corner, and as I came around the corner, I tried to cut inside of her, and I started to fishtail and spun out and hit the wall. Got a little bit of a concussion. But it's no joke, man. I mean, that's some serious stuff, but super fun.
Yeah. Do you still have your suit?
I do somewhere. Yeah.
Okay. I just received mine. I was like, this is my Halloween costume next year, because this is awesome.
Yeah. So, super fun. Yeah. Our next question is from Frank Zonka. He's asking, why do you think YNR has been on the air so long when so many other soap operas like All My Children have been canceled? It's a good question, right?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think it's so many facets. I mean, I really, my dad was a very good storyteller, and he would, right now everyone wants everything to move so fast, but he would do sometimes like these 7-page scenes where, I mean, it was so great. It would like start here, and then it would get emotional, and then like by the end it was good. The audience knows our characters so well. I always say, like, you could bring in Victor Newman and another character, and they don't even have to say anything, but our viewers know them so well. They're like, oh, I bet Victor's thinking, why would Ashley be here? And Victor's thinking, Ashley was supposed to, they could talk it for us, because I think the groundwork was so well done. So I think it's definitely the writing. I think it is definitely the actors. I mean, those Abbotts and Newmans are strong. Everyone is. And then I think it's the viewers that have stayed loyal. I mean, I know they watch storylines that they disagree with, or they want someone else with this person, but they stick with us. And so It's that combination, and we talk about it all the time. We are so grateful. The fact that we're watched, we're on a lot. We're on 2 times a day in Canada. We're on in France. We're on in Istanbul. We're on, like worldwide, Australia. It's just, we're so grateful. And, I always try and make everyone know that we never take it for granted, and we talk about it all the time. Especially in this day, there's so many choices of what to watch.
Yeah. It's one of the things I do miss about all my children was that, it's with regular TV, you you'll film for like a few weeks. You get to know the people that you're working with for a few weeks, few months, and then you finish. And then even if you come back for season 2, it's been a few months and you've been off the air for a little bit. But with soap opera being all year round, it was like for 3 years, that was my family. And I think that translates to people watching it as well and being in everyone's living room for, every day, all year round. There's definitely some loyalty there that doesn't exist anywhere else.
I mean, Doug Davison, who plays my husband, we are we're best friends in real life. So when we have scenes together, there's that. It's so comforting to know that if it's an emotional scene or something, we don't have to I don't have to think about something else. He's like, just look at me. I'm like, I get it. We'll be good. Don't worry. And that trust is so rare, and it's when you have it, it's so great. So when I go off and when you do something else, you're like, that's such a special gift, but you hope you can gain that with whoever you're working with next. I had a very lucky, the 2 leads in the Lifetime movies are 2 Australian twin sisters. And they are, unbelievable. So while I'm excited that it's coming out, I'm so excited for people to see them. And then my husband in the V.C. Andrews movies is Gil Bellows, who, if you watched Ally McBeal, and so many movies, like he's been in so many things. And, I talk about Ally McBeal just because I grew up on Ally McBeal. So it's fun. It's fun.
Awesome.
A different husband for a few days.
Awesome. Our next question is from Frances Rudd, and she's asking, was it hard to prove yourself being a part of a family that was already in the business and had created the show, your mom being a successful talk show host? Did you find it difficult to prove to your family that this is something that you earned rather than that you were just given?
Right. I mean, I had 2 things. I mean, first of all, I was really, I totally get it. I would say it's so interesting that when a son wants to be a lawyer and follow in his father's footsteps, everyone's like, oh, he wants to be a lawyer. And then when I said I wanted to be in the acting business, they're like, oh, sure. She only get that part because, but I get it. And I understand that. And I don't take I get it. So that's why I never get defensive about it. And that's why, yes, I would work so hard. If even to this day, when new people start, I will usually introduce myself as just Lauralee, or my married name is Lauralee Martin. But I will want to see, is there a chance they don't know that I'm a Bell? Or can they just, I've like everyone else knows that if I didn't like something I was wearing, I wouldn't say anything because I didn't want to complain. And, I my lines, but I would try so hard. So I the cast now, they know that I work so hard. I do the best I can. That's all I can do. So yes, I was very aware of that. And I think that's why when I get offers for other projects, it means so much because, when I audition and get the part, it's like, it makes me feel great because, and it's fun to go on a set where I'm not related to anyone. However, now that I'm again at the age that I'm at, I used to try and kind of not talk about my parents, and now I'm at the age where I'm just like, they were incredible. They were, so good at what they did, and now I'm all about bragging about them because, we do miss those days of that kind of storytelling. So now I say it with pride instead of trying to hide it. But I was very much trying to hide it when I was in my 20s because I was like, can't you just like me for me?
Yeah. Beth Phillips is saying, Lauralee, loving hearing you speak and answering these questions, getting to know you. Awesome. So I've got a fun question for you,
Okay.
Miss Lauralee. Lori Huff is asking, who is your best on-screen kiss?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, so I feel like also, and I'm sure you know this, when you learn lines for so long, you kind of forget about part of your life. I have to look at pictures of like, I've
kissed so many men on TV, I can't remember.
really have that many, so I don't really remember how they get. So I have to say Doug Davidson, because he's been what 100% the best kisser in life is my real life husband, but on screen is Doug Davidson, just because he's the only person I've kissed in the last 20 years, and we're the DA and the chief of police right now, so we're not kissing that well. And now with COVID, and he's kind of taking a little bit of a break, but so I would have to say him.
And did you have any lessons on screen kissing when you started on YNL? Because I had a little lesson when I had my first kiss on all my children.
If she goes this way, you go that way, or don't.
Well, we were doing a scene. I've mentioned this before, but my scene was with the character's name was Babe, and actress's name was Alexa, and we had a scene where we're on this little like picnic blanket in the park, and she's married to JR, and their marriage is on the rocks, and we're having a nice little picnic, and of course it comes the moment where we're supposed to have our kiss. And at All My Children, the producer's booth was up on the third floor, studio was on the second floor, so there was second AD was on the actual stage calling action. And so in the middle of our kiss, I hear cut, and a guy comes over, he's like, and because the second AD is listening to the control booth, he's like, oh yeah, okay, I'll tell him.
Oh my God.
Colin, you can't use your tongue on daytime TV. I was like, oh, was it really that apparent? I'm sorry. So no tongue kissing on daytime. It's all lip kissing. So
I don't know. Yeah, it just depends, I guess, on what year. I feel like there were certain years where, it just.
Maybe in the 70s it was free for all.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I think there were the years of like very cautious. Then I feel like, there were the years where like, oops, my tongue slipped into that person's mouth. You know what? The reality is it just has to look good. Otherwise, if it's gross, like some people are like, ooh. And then as soon as they've oohed you, like, I don't think you have any chance.
Have you had bad experiences like that? Kissing actors where it was kind of gross?
Now that I'm a bit older, I like tuna, but I did not like tuna when I was in my 20s. And I was working with an actor, who is the sweetest guy ever, but he was trying to stay super lean. So he would open a can of tuna and just eat it with a fork. And I don't know. He may have brushed his teeth. I don't know. But if he did, like, it just, that tuna stayed there. And I was like, oh, yeah. So it's just tuna. It's not so, it could be worse.
Could be. So our next question is by Tony Quisenberry. She's asking, when you were, were you on Heart of Dixie?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Well, then that doesn't apply.
Hear my name, like,
do you do any singing?
Did I do any singing?
Yeah. Do you do any singing?
No.
No.
I think I can sing, but I don't. My kids would say probably just don't. I sing when I'm alone. I sing in the car. Me too. 6 o'clock call or 6:30. I am going to work with I should be. Sometimes it depends on what kind of day. If it's the kind of day where I don't know my lines well enough, I'll be talking to myself. But if I know them, I am blasting music and singing loud. Because why not?
Yeah, you got to do it.
Yeah.
Next question is from Amy Krause, and she's asking, how do you keep acting fresh after being on the series for so long?
So, look at each script as like a new, it's a new day. So even though it's the same character, it's still like the challenge of making that day good, or as good as you can. So, I mean, the only time where I really get frustrated is when my character is kind of angry for too. Like, I used to be much more balanced, where I was a very strong businesswoman, but I would have fun episodes where I'd be silly and light. And in the last like 3 or 4 years, I'm really only the DA. I'm now not the DA. It's a long story. But so the only days I kind of get frustrated is when I have no opportunity to like smile, or where I'm just tough. Now in these Lifetime movies, I'm very. It's different. My character on Y&R is uptight, but my character in the V.C. Andrews movies is self-serving, and it's just different. She only cares about herself, so you can have more fun with it because it's just obnoxious. But when you're a businesswoman and you're rattling off facts, it's hard to throw in a smile. No one will take it seriously. So I don't know. I just think like a new script is a new day, and very often we work with, like last week I worked with people I never work with, so that was fun. Hard right now because we're wearing masks for every second unless you're filming. So rehearsals are very like, wait, what? And the N95s, I get very out of breath, so I get very winded. So I'm like, am I terrified? And my heart is racing. Can't breathe.
Yeah.
But we've done so well on safety protocol and haven't had to shut down. So
awesome.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah. And have you auditioned quite a bit outside of YNL and Bold and the Beautiful? Did they allow you to do stuff outside the show?
So I'm reoccurring now, which is just something I enjoy, to have the opportunities to be able to.
Yeah.
Because I was in Canada for most of February and March. That never would have been able to happen if I was still under contract. And we do so many auditions. Like that's why you can hang in Chicago a little bit longer, because auditions, Zoom auditions are taped, which I think is fantastic. Yes and no. Like it's, if there's no other alternative, it's pretty great.
Right.
But I mean, it's definitely, I've been doing some of them, and we like when Y&R was. When we were shut down for COVID, they did 3 months of reruns, which has never been done ever. So we would do promos for them all from our house with the other actors that we were in. Or this week is Paul and Chris week, and oh my God, wasn't it so fun to be on the honeymoon? And oh, do you remember this? And do you remember that? And it's incredible what we can do.
Yeah.
On our computer. So yeah.
Yeah. And the reason why I ask is because I've done the calculations because I wrote my book last year, and just looking back at my career, I've gone on over roughly 2,000 auditions. Wow. And if you look at my IMDb page, I only have like 40 something credits, which is like 2% success rate. Well, so like as actors, and that's pretty normal for acting. So people ask like, well, how do you deal with the constant rejection or whatever you want to call it? How do you deal with knowing that you're not going to get every role that you go out for? How do you stay motivated? How do you stay in the game? And what motivates you to just keep trying to get more acting roles?
I mean, I think what's helped for me is when you have children, you don't have a second to yourself. So I may be like waiting to hear if I got a call back or something, but my son or daughter is having in their minds, a terrible experience with a friend or school, whatever. So I shift over to that. And then, when I put my head on my pillow, I'm like, oh, I guess I didn't get that because we would have heard today. And, I mean, like you said, it's happened so many times. There were parts I thought for sure went great.
Yeah.
And now that I'm pitching a lot of shows for producing and for selling the concept, I can't tell you how many times someone played a call for me that says this is gonna go, this is so exciting, da da da, and then 2 days later it was like, sorry, we're going in another direction.
Yeah. So how do you deal with that?
But wait, here.
Yeah, like Yeah, exactly. So how do you deal with that disappointment?
I guess because I have to think about what my kids are going to eat the next day. It's going to have for the rest of life goes on. I
Yeah.
also always super hesitant in life taking jobs, especially if they were offered, if they would say like, well, the audition, if you get it, you'd have to be in Georgia for 2 weeks. And I was like, I can't be in Georgia. I have to see my mother and my kids. I drive them to school on days I don't work. So I would always I would make excuses a lot to just say, well, then I can't do it. I almost did that with this BC Andrews project. My mom was like, I didn't know if she had weeks to live or days, and to be gone was unthinkable to me. And then I looked at my kids, who I've used as an excuse for 18 and 20 years, and I was like, okay, they don't. I can do this. I can go. My husband is awesome at taking care of them, and it's all going to be okay. And my mom said, go. And so it in retrospect, it worked out the best it could. But yeah, I don't know. I think you just have to let it go. And it's sometimes so different what they're looking for. Like it could suddenly be that in the time that you've taped your audition and sent it to them, they wanted, a completely different look, or they wrote, in the breakdown to be this way. And then suddenly, maybe they wanted they wanted to see a more romantic side of someone that you didn't offer. So like you didn't even have a chance with that one. But to me, audition you grow from it. And, I'm also I guess I believe that things happen for a reason, or what's meant to be will be. So it's just, it's not easy. Even when I'm working, like when I know I have work dates and I'm auditioning, I will still, instead of being excited and I am excited that I have the work date, but I'll definitely be bummed about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you have a healthy perspective with regards to looking at it from an overall, a bigger perspective, that you're not always going to get every single role that you audition for. And if you understand that you don't make it personal, and knowing that whatever it is that you go out for in life or put yourself out there in life, just knowing that that there is a chance that it is not going to work out. But the way I look at it is, the longer you play the game, the more goals you're going to score, the more times you are going to get tackled, but then it just provides more opportunities for you to be able to get back up, learn from each play. And I think sports, for me, because I was such an athlete growing up, I always use sports as an analogy, knowing that even the best athletes of all time are not always going to win. And even the most successful athletes in the world, like baseball players, fail 70% of the time, and they're all-stars. Mm-hmm. And so just looking at it from that perspective of, if you love what you do and you just keep focusing on what it is about what it is that you do that inspires you, that lights you up, that keeps you motivated, that it makes the disappointing times a little more bearable, knowing that there is another opportunity out there. And I think it's also important to recognize too that, there's not just one person for us. There's not just one job for us. There really is a lot of opportunity out there in the world. And sometimes it can sometimes feel like we are alone in our own bubbles. But I think it sounds like you come from a really great family. It sounds like you have a great husband, and I'm sure your kids appreciate growing up. So parents like yourself.
Whenever something's good, they're completely supportive. But it is funny to have teenagers, because they'll be like, "Oh, that was weird," or something,
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Absolutely.
Once I had to have my daughter help me, and she's like, she was totally honest and she was helpful. She was like, "Are you going to do it like that?" And I was like, no.
Yeah, of course not. No.
It's like, one is also sometimes casting agents, like just the fact that if it was sent in, they may see you and think of you for something else, which is always something that I think is always encouraging.
Yeah.
And also, the best advice that I was given is just to do something in that audition that either break up a line, like how you phonetically say something, or say something so they can remember you for that, to be the person that said stop, who yelled stop, she was so good, just something that just interrupts your any sort of, that like stands out for someone in any way is always good. Not like, don't like flash the camera.
Well, I'm sure some people do that too. But with your kids, are they into acting? Have they expressed any interest in the entertainment industry?
I mean, my daughter hasn't been to the set in a long time for Y&R. I think she was when she came, but they really, no, not yet. And I'm glad, like I started, young, and luckily I was around a very healthy cast. Like Tracy Bregman taught me how to eat well. And, everyone was very like emotionally, supportive. And I wasn't around, a situation because I was hanging around a lot of older people. So I'm glad for that. I think my daughter would be great. Like I love editing. I've made a bunch of web series and I love just being able to cut it all together. And I think editing's so great. So I'm hoping when she goes to college, I was like, you could always take an editing class. And our son, I think he would be good at it. He's just, his sleep schedule is so weird that we have to be up so early that it's like almost when he's going to bed. So I hope one day, he could just help out on a set just to see, because it takes everybody. It's certainly not about just, the main characters. It is so much the, everybody. So I would like him to be a part of understanding what a team can accomplish, especially when you don't think you could ever possibly shoot it in a small amount of days. And then at the end, oh my God, we did it. And it was pretty good.
Yeah. So Jody Donahue is asking, what has been your most challenging role that you've ever played?
Well, I mean, two things. One, it was a very sad topic. We would do message storylines each summer on Young and Restless. And when date rape was actually being talked about for the first time, it was written into the story where I was raped by someone I was, quote, dating. And so that was a very physically difficult storyline because I knew this sadness had happened to people in real life, and I wanted to make sure we were 100% accurate, or as well as we could be. And so like I told him, I said, please, like if we can't be caught at one point, like where it looks like I'm struggling, but I'm not. So I will like just push me down, like it's okay. Don't because I'm the boss's daughter. Don't be like you can't hurt me, like
right
within reason. So making sure that came off as real as possible was a difficult scene. I was just sent Phil Donahue. We were on Phil Donahue way back in the day, and Doug just sent me watching that clip again. I hadn't seen it in 20 some years, and like so, that was great. But in terms of like having to do something I've never done before, what is airing this weekend? It's so big, and she's so, take care of that, will you? And it's so like, but it's so perfect for this role. And I don't look like my driver, John would drive, he's an avid Y&R watcher, and every day he would drive me back to the hotel, and I kept saying him, look over. And he's like, I know it's you. Don't look like you. Yeah. Like, I know, but isn't that great? Like I have no eyes. I have huge red lips, which morphs me into like, if you go onto my Instagram after we're done, and I just posted a picture of what I look like, a few of what I look very different. My 80s soap hair, okay, but much chicer, like Veronica Lake. And so, but once I put that whole weird, and I don't say weird because I loved the hair and makeup, but it was just so weird to look in the mirror and think that was like, it was a big adjustment visually. I don't like wearing red lipstick because I feel like I look so, I don't know. But then having to go out and, kind of do these huge lines of, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Like just very bitchy. And it was so foreign to me, which I know is acting, but it was just like being like, just make sure that everyone's being so natural and so here I am coming in, blah, blah. And if you're used to that, or if you've seen yourself on camera do that, then at least it's a little bit more comforting. But I have never seen myself do that before. And I really had to trust everyone. And people were like, we laughed because she went out to shake your hand and you wouldn't. And then you wiped your hand once you could tell she touched it a little. So like I would get a few encouraging comments, but I was a little nervous.
Yeah. Well, it sounds fun to just be able to do something different like that.
So fun.
And yeah.
So
yeah. And Christine Henderson is asking, what was your favorite Y&R storyline of all time?
Yeah, it's such a good question, and it's so hard to pick. I loved back in the days with we had like a rock star, Danny Romalotti, and we would have concerts and stuff, but that's not a storyline. And this isn't really a storyline either, but you'll understand this. I was with Cricket and Danny were together, and then in real life, Michael Damian was going off to do Joseph and Me, Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat on Broadway. So they were like, okay, so he's going to go, and we're going to move you over with Doug Davidson, who plays Paul. And we were so excited because we were very good friends. But again, it's like asking the audience who they know this couple. This is who they're
right.
Watch every day, and now you're gonna ask them to just oh, it's okay, he's gone now, so she'll love him. Like, what's the big deal? That's a big request, but I think because it was done so slowly and it was done in they were friends first and very respectful, and their relationship evolved in real time. Then to have the success of people being so excited that now Chris and Paul were together, for me was just a very that was an undertaking and a huge request, and to accomplish that was like a fun. I don't have a better word.
Fulfilling.
3 letters.
Yeah.
I say all these big words on camera, but I'm just gonna leave it at fun.
I know. We actors, we memorize lines. Don't ask us to try to come up with our own. Anne Smizik Yans, I believe that's how you pronounce your name, Anne, and sorry if I butchered it, would like to know if you have any words of wisdom that you would give young women.
Oh my goodness. Well, just naturally we just get it more as our years go on. I know so much. I wish I knew all that I knew then, although I knew then. Oh dear, I'm going to butcher this, but I just say, definitely be yourself. Boy, in this day where people are judging and negative, like that hurts my heart so much when people are not nice online. I just don't get it. I just don't understand the opportunity of not saying anything at all. So I would say, if social media is a part of your life and it's at all negative, I would say back away from that. I just say believe in yourself. Everybody is beautiful and wonderful in their own right, in their own way, and everyone will find their path, but just believe. My father taught me to be very positive. I wake up every day, even if it's a tough day, just waiting for what's going to happen, hopefully in a positive way. So I would just try and look at the positive. My brother once told me, I think you're in a negative space, and the minute I switched that, I feel like things kind of opened up. And I know it's hard to do if you're hungry or tired or scared or desperate, but I feel also a positive energy allows positivity to come into your space.
Yeah.
So people, there are a lot of good people out there. Stick with the good ones, and true people will guide you and help you. I wish I had a good answer. I hope that's a good answer, but
yeah, no, I think there's a lot of good stuff in there. And lastly, what would you say you learned from your mom and your dad that has helped you throughout life?
I feel like I'm going to cry. That's so sweet. Family first. And also, never to give up. I love that they taught me to not take anything for granted and to work your ass off, because I'm good with that. So I don't know. I feel like they're around me constantly. I don't really get emotional about them. So I don't know what it is, Colin, how you asked it. But yeah, I mean, just, if you've lost people, I just feel like if you can feel them around you, and I do feel like they're guides. I just, I want to make them proud every day. But yeah, they've taught me everything. They've taught me how to parent. They've taught me how to be real. They've taught me, not to get down on myself. It's all good. Like, failures are okay because there's success in my life with my husband and my kids, and that's really helpful.
That's so sweet, making me emotional, Lauralee. You're like,
drink my wine.
Yeah, I wish I had some here with me. Same with my parents. My dad has passed, but I always just think about his essence of who he was, and the thing that comes to mind for my dad was just how kind he was, how thoughtful, how generous, how hardworking. And even though he's not here physically, that lives on inside of me and my brother and my sister and the people that he impacted in his life. And just, it sounds like your parents did an amazing job with raising you guys. And also,
that is a huge thing, to be able to witness your parent work hard and be kind and to be there is a true gift.
Yep. And my mom, who's man, she's a warrior. She's a fighter, and she teaches me every day what it means to just keep waking up every day, and no matter what you're dealing with, that it's just important to just put on your armor that you need to deal with and go to battle. And she's always just taught me also what it means to, man, you're making me emotional now too.
I feel like you inspire so many people. I feel like you're doing
it's that she always reminds me that anything is possible. Mm-hmm. And that's why no matter how life gets, I always focus on the possibility of what the answer could be and how to work through it, instead of focusing on the problem and the challenges. She has always had that philosophy of, well, we'll find a way, we'll figure it out. And that's truly what has gotten me through so many challenges in my life. And it sounds like we've got some great parents. And, I know for people who maybe haven't necessarily had the kind of parenting that we've been fortunate to have, the great thing about life is that no matter where you come from and what you're dealing with, that we have a choice in life, and we can either sit around and be angry or sad that we didn't have maybe the parents that we wanted to have, or the circumstances of our life may not be what we had hoped they would be. But I'm a firm believer that we all have choices in life. And if you don't like what you're dealing with or the circumstances of your life, then we really do have the opportunity to seek out the people that do support us. If we don't have that with our family, go out and there's people out there that are your tribe. And we were talking a little bit about this before the show. That's one of the reasons why I just felt like I needed to come back to Chicago, because your tribe is out there. Sometimes you just got to get out of your cave or your comfort zone to find them.
I have two women that literally push me to keep going with the pitches and stuff every day, and I'm so grateful for them. So it's like, yes, if your parents aren't the people, there are people out there. They are friends, coworkers. Thank God.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Lauralee, thank you so much for the awesome interview. I appreciate it. You're very lovely, and I wish you all the best with your continued success.
You come out
here. You all the best with you getting your show picked up And
you know what you're doing this weekend. You're sitting down Saturday and Sunday night and watching 2 Lifetime movies.
yes. And again, the names of the shows are Ruby and Pearl in the Mist, right?
Yep, one's on Saturday, one's on Sunday. Do it.
All right. Awesome. Let's support Lauralee, everyone. Thank you again. And wish you all the best. I miss LA. Give it my best, and hopefully I'll see you out there soon.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Take care. Wow. Man, this is why I love doing this show. I just love getting to talk to amazing, awesome people and just, getting to the heart of who people are. Because I think sometimes we see people on TV and movies and we think that we all have it all, that actors or musicians or the people that we look up to have it all figured out and that life is easy. But I think we all recognize and appreciate that we all face challenges in life. And again, it is important to be able to surround yourself with the people that care about you and support you. And so whatever it is that you're dealing with, know that there is your tribe out there. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to put this show together and created the Inspire community. And that's why we're doing our Inspire Summit on May 23rd, because that is what this is really all about. It's about coming together. It's about us just being able to express our greatness and our gratitude for life. As a cancer survivor 2 times over, I know what it means to be facing challenging experiences. And like I said before, my mom and my dad have given me so much encouragement and support along my journey, and my brother and my sister. And if you're looking for that encouragement and that support, feel free to jump in and join us on May 23rd. We're going to have some motivational speakers. We're going to have some musicians. We're going to have Chef Will teach us an amazing recipe. We are going to have just going to be pretty much 3 hours of amazing inspiration and a great way for you to connect with an awesome community. So happy that we got season 3 underway. Next week, we have a very special guest, and we'll be dropping who that will be this week. And for those of you who are interested in getting more connected, or if you're looking for any sort of coaching, which I also do, you can email me at info@colinegglesfield.com. You can visit my website, colinegglesfield.com. Always constantly stuff going on, so feel free to reach out. And I wish you guys all my best. Have a great beginning to your week, and I will see you next Monday. Take care.